Get started. Welcome, everyone to another episode of the Aligned as Fuck podcast. I am your host, Candy Barone, and I am super thrilled for my guest that I have joining us on the show today. We are going to talk all things alignment and AI and some other interesting things. And I'm going to share a little bit more about her as well. But before we get started, let me just welcome my guest, Lauren Shaw, to the show. I am so glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Candy.
For those of you, if you are tuning in for the first time or you have come back on multiple times, remember this is our space to get raw, real, gritty, and it is all about rabbit hole diving because we want to have the conversations that matter and we want to have the conversations that move leadership forward. And so, again, this is our opportunity to be an experiment together, especially in light of all of the things that are happening in the world right now, the changes, the new paradigms, the burning down of everything. This is the time for us to lean in and have those conversations that allow us to connect. And so with that, let me welcome one half of what is affectionately and powerfully known as the Laurens, Lauren Shaw, to the show. She actually has a partner in the work that she does, who is Lauren Capwell. And together they are known as the Laurens. They are, and I will tell you without a doubt, they are the masters and powerhouses behind a groundbreaking approach to high ticket sales and AI driven business growth. I will tell you my entire entry and playing and really understanding what AI could do for my business is a big part of what I've learned through the Laurens and really been able to be in spaces to beta test some of the things that they've built. And so with this unique blend of expertise that they both bring to the table, one being a rocket scientist with Stanford AI training, and then a powerhouse sales expert who has scaled multiple 6 and 7 big figure businesses and sold over $5 million in high ticket programs. You can see why this is a synergy that is like delicious.
Yes.
They have cracked the code on how to consistently attract and close premium clients. As the creators of the AI sales accelerator and the clarity playbooks, which I am just telling you, we will drop some links in here. Y'all need to be in those communities and you need to be accessing the playbooks that they have. Game changers, as someone who has literally used them in my own business. They help coaches, consultants, and online service providers transform their messaging, automate content creation, and build sales systems that really convert and convert sustainably. Their mission to make AI simple, powerful, and practical so business owners can scale with ease, reclaim their time, and achieve lasting financial freedom. I mean, seriously, like that's just all the stuff in like this amazing package. And so what I want to do, and I was going to ask this if you and both Laurens were here, but we've got Lauren Shaw today. So I want to talk a little bit about how this came together. I mean, you are two entirely different energies. And I've actually, just so you know, I've had the opportunity to actually explore Lauren's human design chart with her. She is a 2-4 pure manifesting generator with a ton of power in her chart. And her energy and Lauren Capwell's are very different. And so I'm curious how this vision, how this partnership came together, because I think the story itself is interesting.
So, interesting story. Actually, Lauren and I were introduced by a mutual friend who knew that we were both into sound baths and sound healing, and we liked playing musical instruments. And for both of us, that was just a hobby that we had outside of our careers. So we met for lunch one day and we just totally clicked and we became instant friends. And that was about 4 years ago. We started taking some trips together and we both got to this point about 2.5 years ago, right around when ChatGPT came out on the scene, where we were feeling a bit stagnant in our careers. So I was selling high ticket coaching programs for some very well-known online business coaches, and she was building rockets, literally. And she was kind of like, I'm done this engineering grind. And I was like, I want my own business again because I've had them in the past. And when we started playing around with ChatGPT and some of the other like very early AI tools that were accessible to the public, we just like had these long, deep conversations about where this was going and how this was going to just completely shift the paradigm of how we show up in our lives and our businesses. And we, a couple of very long walks on the beach, were like, with our skills, her, analytical engineering mind and developer brain, and my business, sales, and marketing background, we were like, well, what if we start a business together? Like she could build the tools, I could help with the strategy. And that's kind of how it came to be. So we both decided we also wanted to travel the world. So we were like, what if we just like burn everything down, we quit our jobs, we leave our homes, and we go travel the world and start a business together? And so that's what we did. So about like 3 months after the first conversations, we were out the door on our way to Bali and started the business. So
And it's gone fast, right? Like I've watched you guys grow through this process, and what was sort of a testing ground for some ideas has become truly one of the most flagship, like grounded approaches. Because there's a lot. I mean, let's talk about that for a minute, right? There's a lot around AI, and we're gonna like really blow up the good, bad, ugly, and like some of the myths and some of the things around it. But AI at first was the thing everybody feared. There's still a lot of fear over there. We're gonna talk about that too. And it's now become the new flavor of everything. And you see everybody's an AI expert now. I see that in human design as well.
yeah,
And I will say, based on what's out there and testing different things out, the Laurens really have carved out this very unique niche and expertise. And so let's talk about kind of two things inside of that. One, the trajectory of how fast you've blown this up. Like, how did you manage that? Because I think just that conversation around how business owners stay aligned when their growth scales faster than even 10x. Because I would say your growth has surpassed 10x, and it surpassed 10x rather quickly. So how did you all manage that? And then how have you continued to carve that path where you really are you're in blue water where there's a whole lot of bloody stuff going on
yeah,
in some red oceans space around AI?
yeah. Well, it's all like entrepreneurship is a journey, right? And so when we first launched, we went really wide because we weren't sure where we wanted to focus or what we would enjoy in the world of AI. So our first program that we launched back in 2023 was like the gamut of both helping, entrepreneurs learn the strategies of the back end of their business as well as the front end, the sales and marketing approach. And what we learned very quickly, that was like the back end support, we turned into like 24/7 tech support for our clients, and that's not what we wanted. And so we realized very quickly that's not in alignment with, our sole purpose on this planet. And so we shifted. So we did run that program for like a year and a half, and we were able to grow it so quickly because we leveraged speaking events and we really focused on building relationships. And that's how like we grew our business to six figures just in the first 4 months of starting the business because that's what we focused on and it worked for us. And so then we got really clear. We just wanted to focus on like the sales and marketing and the relationship building side of business because that's what we're passionate about. So we whittled it down. And it's funny, but like even just in the past 2 months, we're whittling it down even more and we're focusing more and more just on sales, which is my like, a lot of my experiences in sales. And so it's been a journey of alignment for sure. There's definitely times where, I mean, just being in the space of AI can be overwhelming because you're constantly innovating, you're constantly having to learn these new tools or techniques or whatever because it's rapidly changing. But and I think you kind of spoke to this, but we have always been very grounded in our approach to AI. So the strategies and the tools that we're building are grounded in timeless business knowledge, timeless business frameworks. So we're like, how can we apply AI to these frameworks that are like very foundational for businesses so that we can save our clients a ton of time, save them a ton of mental energy, and do it in a way where there still is, the human aspect of it. And I think that's a really important differentiator for us because a lot of, people out there, a lot of the AI tools out there honestly have been built by men, which is fine, but there is clearly a lack of empathy that's
Yes.
showing up in the tools. And that is what we have made sure that we focus on throughout like our entire business experience. And so I think that's why we do attract a lot of female clients because when they use our tools and work with us, they like, oh, this actually feels good. This feels authentic. And so that's really one of the pillars of our business.
Well, and I think that's a really important note to hit on because I will say, in my personal experience, I remember even having a conversation when, I mean, the two big players at the time, when you first, there's so many players in AI space now, but the two really big ones that everyone was talking about was Chat GPT and Claude AI, right? And so there was a question around, when do you use Chat? When do you use Claude? And I can remember even feeling like the first time I used Chat, it was very academic. It was very like structured. It was very much this kind of like bro mentality, this energy that I defaulted to Claude. And some of that was through a recommendation early on with what you said around Claude feels more personal. It feels more empathetic. What I love about that, because the approach and what you've taken, I now have switched back to Chat as my, because I've trained Chat to have that level of empathy, and to, I've also shared my human design and I've entered everything in it. Like I shared my stars, I share, like I put these things in there that make it very personal to who I am, but took the time to work with Chat to learn how I speak. Whereas the like dynamic between, I can be very bold and a little bit biting and I don't pull punches, and there's this really soft, flowy side of compassion and grace and empathy. And so let's talk a little bit more about that, because I think this is significant, because I do feel like, especially in talking with either female entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs who are either uh, they're in communities that oftentimes feel marginalized or are in more of a diversity space, that can be one of the challenging things about AI, is it doesn't feel like it really connects. So how do you help people sort of bridge that gap and not lose their voice in the process? Because you and I were talking even before this call, there's someone that I deeply admire in a very abundance, like spiritual space, send an email and legitimately, I know it is verbatim copy out of Chat GPT. There isn't any of his energy coming through. How do you balance that? Because I think there's a lot of fear, and I think that people are losing their soul, voice, and language when we talk about alignment in the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah. It's a really important topic. And I think that's one of the biggest concerns that people have when they start using AI is like how to maintain their voice, right? So there's that, these beliefs around like, oh, it's not going to sound like me, or my audience, won't vibe with it. So there's a couple of things. First off, I'll say ChatGPT has we call it like the shapeshifter, because it has the greatest ability to be able to be conformed to your style if you train it properly. And so that's a really important piece. So how do you train it?
Strict
Well,
that y'all asked by what she just said.
yeah. So, I mean, there's a couple of ways you can train it. So, we use custom GPTs in our business. So, we have like our AI copywriter, all of our clients have one as well, and it's highly trained on their business. We make it really easy for them because they just have to answer a few questions. And then our AI system basically writes this really detailed knowledge base that just expands on everything that they said. And so then we upload that knowledge base to the custom GPT. So every time you go to this GPT, so your AI copywriter, for example, you prime it and it goes and reads the knowledge base really fast. So it knows your brand voice, your style, your personality, even like success stories you have, experiences you've had in your life that are like milestones or standouts that set you apart. It knows everything about your offers, who your ideal clients are, what their pain points and challenges are, etc. So it's highly, highly trained. And that's one of the things that helps you get very aligned output very quickly. Now, I will also say, let AI be part of the process, not the end product.
Yes.
Okay, so once you get a draft of an email or a piece of content or whatever it is, obviously you want to put your human essence into it. And what we do, and this is what we encourage our clients to do, is like we have the expertise and the knowledge. So we like to guide the GPT before writing an email or a content post and say, like, this is a topic that I want to talk about. I'm really passionate about it because of XYZ. These are my thoughts about it. Now, can you write the
Mhm.
post? And then it's gonna like amazingly feel like, wow, it just like snapped into place. Like that's great. Like I couldn't have even said it that good. And
Yeah.
now I'll go in and I'll fine tune it. So it's like this partner, and we like to think of it as an expansion partner, like amplifies your thoughts and your voice. And so there is a way for that to happen. It's just like knowing the strategy behind it.
Yeah. I love that you use the word amplifier because that's actually the part of the next question I wanted to ask you was, first of all, and I will just say I'm going to give a shameless promotion for the Laurens and what they've created in their GPT or their chat GPT prompts and their plugins that they have that you can use. They are like, when I say game changers, I mean significant game changers. It is where I started to refine chat to know my voice, that like it really truly made the process so simple, and getting out even playbooks on understanding my ideal client, understanding their pain, like all of that they create. They have so many ways that you can create really solid, really thoughtful, really aligned. And that's the other word I want to bring into this conversation. Playbooks that are specific to you and what you're trying to accomplish and the work that and the gifts that you have. And so I cannot shamelessly promote that enough. When I say I love their work, I mean that wholeheartedly, 1,000%. And I recommend everyone I know to go get their tools. They have such a brilliant way they've put that whole tool suite together. So I do want to give a shameless plug for that. Because I also know Lauren, and she's going to give and give and give and give us everything that's just amazing and beautiful. And I want to make sure I am driving you to go check out those playbooks and those tools, because they significantly shifted my business in a way that allowed me to create alignment and amplification. And so I want to talk about both those words for a minute, because I think I want to understand from your mind. And I think sometimes alignment becomes one of the new words, like authenticity, that becomes this business buzzword. They were all
Yeah.
like, oh, alignment. And I mean, a lot of my platform is all around alignment, right? Being aligned as fuck. What does that actually mean when we're talking about it, and especially talking about it in the context of using AI? And then talking about how AI really is, you still are the visionary, you still are the person. AI is an amplifier, and it's a quality. The quality is based on input, the output is a direct correlation or relationship to the quality of what you input into the platform, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll speak to this because I'm going to be really vulnerable and honest here because I don't know, this was maybe like 2 weeks ago. I was feeling very stuck
Mhm.
and like around how we're showing up and where we're headed. And this happens in entrepreneurship. It's like part of the journey, right? And we've like already gone through this a couple of times as we've like, really we've built and built and built and we've been trying to figure out like where is that space that is like full alignment, full like fuck yes for
Yeah.
us. And 2 weeks ago, I hit this point where I could feel my body like shutting down. And, I've done a lot of spiritual work in my life, and I like really had to like stop and listen and, get quiet and ask myself, okay, what's going on and what's coming up? And Lauren and I have an amazing relationship. We were best friends before we were business partners, and we can share very openly and honestly with each other. And I'm so grateful for that because we just support each other in so many ways. And I think that's incredibly powerful. And I think that's why we like are able to achieve what we have achieved so far. And so I was having this really, difficult conversation with her about how I was feeling. And she listened, she let me share. And that night, she built me an alignment GPT because I felt like something wasn't aligned in our work and I wanted to get to the root of it so that we could course correct. And like, how sweet is that? She like was up till 11 p.m. that night building me this GPT that would help me uncover
Mhm.
where I was stuck, what was like really coming up, what was the root cause of it, and how to course correct. And like I tried it the next morning and it brought me to tears. It was so, and it's totally trained with all of these different like modalities and like, different like spiritual perspectives, but also business strategies. And it was really cool. And like the fact that we gave ourselves the space and the time to even ask this question, like I can't even tell you, like the clarity, the energy that has come through after that, the like the clicks and like that to me, like that is alignment. Like you're on the right path when. Right. And so even just in these last 2 weeks, I felt like such a shift and really excited. I actually woke up at 4 a.m. this morning. We did a workshop yesterday on how to sell confidently with a little help from AI. And this is like, it's like my wheelhouse, And so it's like the combination of all these things that I've done for a really long time. And we're doing a 6-week authentic sales challenge starting at the end of May. And so we were promoting that, and I felt like fully in my zone, fully in alignment, and like the doors opened. We got like a bunch of enrollments. I woke up at 4 a.m. this morning, and I was so excited that I couldn't go back to sleep. So I just woke up and started working because I was like excited about this, excited about that, and so like that just to me to show like shows me, whereas like 2 weeks ago I felt like I didn't have any energy to do anything, and here I am, just like feeling fully in the zone, fully excited.
Well,
So
I so much I want to unpack in that. First of all, I love how much Lauren can provide a reflection for you because I would say, because I've had those moments even with chat where I remember I had a friend staying with me, one of my best friends from Houston, and we were here and I was in that. First of all, there's a lot of energy that's moving right now that's asking us to surrender old identities and old ways of being, and it's shifting us into a different level of alignment. So what has worked yesterday might not work today, and we need to give ourselves that room to experiment and to play. And what was interesting is I put something in because I was like, and it was when I was starting to launch the leadership design lab, and I'm like, this is the revolution. And I'm like, oh, it's a revolution. Like there were things that I'm like, this isn't a movement, it's something else. And like my words are reckoning and revolution, and it comes back. And when again, you've got whether it's a person, and I love that she just put a GPT together for, I mean, come on, that's just
sweet.
brilliant. Because when the GPT is set up in the right way and you put things in, it becomes a reflection or a mirror. And
Yeah.
I've had moments, and my friend Debbie was here with me. I started bawling, same thing, because I was like, because it took my language, it took my vision, but it brought it together in a way that I was struggling to connect the pieces fully. That here's the thing, and I want to share this because, again, I did say when we started the call, this episode, that you're a 2-4 pure manifesting generator. So as a manning gen, when you're aligned, you know it in the moment.
That's
And for
right.
you, because of the way your power dynamic, you have a lot of defined centers, and you've got some format energy and power energy, and like the pure, she has the pure channel that's the manifesting generator. So the minute she like knows it and speaks it, it's like in action. That alignment is like these switches go off that you don't then get to rationalize. Oh, it's 4 a.m. I need to sleep longer. The universe or the energetic field around you urges you and says, no, it's time. The channel is open, and you now are the messenger to bring forth this work. That is such a powerful, and I just want to connect that dot because I get that question a lot. People are like, how do you know you're in alignment? How fast is human design? Your human design. You're in alignment as soon as you feel that kind of drop and that expansion, and all of a sudden every part of your body is awake. And I don't care what your type is, it shows up differently, sure, but every part of your body is awake. That there's just such a clear knowing, and that's also your line too. There is just a clear knowing that says, I need to do this now. I don't even know, because my guess is, and I'm curious because I want to kind of tease this out a little bit. My guess is in that moment you didn't even know all the steps. You just knew you had to get up and start activating,
Yep.
right?
Yep, totally.
Yeah. Which is powerful, right? Because we also get paralyzed when we're like, oh my God, this is the thing. And then immediately our brain goes, well, how are you going to do that? And we're like, ugh. And one
Yeah.
of the things I want you to realize, and this is also the power of using AI is going to give you the things. One of the things I found as a generator type, I love when it plays my stuff back because then I get to go, did I just respond to that? Or did that lay flat? Like what now that I see it and that launch strategy, oh, I have zero energy. Or now that I see it, fuck, my whole body's like, yes, please. That's the thing. I actually think that's one of the most beautiful things AI can provide for us is a way to have that field of energy reflected. So depending on how you're wired and your strategy and authority, you can check in to see, is this the thing?
Yeah. I will also, I think, yes, I do agree with that. And
I love
also,
the AMs. I love the AMs.
and also, there is this other side of AI where people sometimes are over reliant on it and over trusting of
Yes.
it. And that's where we have to be really careful because we've seen this with some of our clients where they, get this output from AI to do something for their business and then they go do it and it doesn't work. Right. And so that's where like we still need to have the expertise of somebody who is an expert or a guide or a coach in a certain area that we really do want to like, collapse time even further so we can succeed faster. Like AI is really good at getting us part of the way, but there's also this other element of, like what's really going to work. Like how can we ground that in like data? And so actually deep research is one of the newer features in AI and ChatGPT and
Love
Gemini's deep
that
research is
feature.
like Gemini's is actually like even better than chats. We've been doing a lot of testing and what we use that for like deep research helps us make smart decisions
Mhm.
for our business. So a lot of people don't see it as this like sexy AI feature, like custom GPTs are like really hot right now, but deep research is going to help you ground yourself in like data and like grounded decisions for your business before you actually like act on some of the other things that AI might tell you to go do. So I think it's important to make that distinction. And a lot of people just like go to AI and, write website copy for their website and think it's going to like convert really well because AI says it will. And then they put it onto their website and then nothing happens. Right. So there's that like missing link that is also a part of it. But I'll say, if there is something that you feel like your body feels that like, yes, that alignment, like that is a sign, like there is something there and it's data and it's like communication that it's telling you something. So to like, of course, explore that, but do it in a grounded way.
Well, and I love that you just brought up deep research because I've been jonesing to tell you my experience with that. Because since you suggested it again in the AI clarity community, it was a conversation around get the paid subscribe the $20 a month for chat so that you can write. And I haven't tried Gemini yet, but the chat, what I have found so interesting. And so there's two pieces to this. One, I want to talk about deep research, but then I want to come back to what you just said because this is the part that we really need to talk about where AI has power and where you still have to be the driving force. When it came to deep research, my first time through it was just kind of cool to see. And one of the things was it actually validated because I put in, I want the research done in leadership alignment and human design. And this is the bridge and the context. And I put the whole thing. And out of all the 20, I was one of the ones that referenced like 5 times, which I was like, yes, I've got a space that I'm playing and that it recognizes. What I love about that, because I wanted to kind of see how refined I could create my request for what I wanted in terms of the research and how I could have it specifically connect to the work I'm doing and speak to my ideal client. That the last time I did that, because I've had a thing that's been brewing for me and another pillar that I'm going to be building out my business. When I went out and very specifically said, I am looking for research, hard research in the areas of X, Y, and Z, and I want it to connect to my business this way. I really want it to lay into relational leadership and what I do with human design mapping and composite charts and others, and make sure that it's addressing very critical needs to my ideal clients, which of course it has all of that in there.
Yep.
What it came back with for research was mind blowing. And the fact that it did it in 20 minutes versus if I went out and did all that legwork by myself,
my gosh. Yeah.
First of all, I wouldn't have been able to draw the thread, truthfully,
Yeah.
between because human design is still a relatively new, even though it's becoming the, topic du jour and like everybody thinks they're an expert because they saw a meme on Instagram. That's a whole nother discussion. Same with AI. I feel like the same thing. They see a couple things, people see prompts on AI, and now everybody's an expert and sharing the same prompts. That being said, when you can really refine and distill it down to something that is very connected, this is that alignment piece,
Yeah.
the output again becomes very significant. And here's the rest of that conversation, right? And this is to what you're saying. Here's where there's the risk, right? I think more people sit in this, and I'm curious on your take on this. I feel like, and the people that I've had conversations with, the fear is actually, quote, misplaced. I don't think you need to have the fear, but I think people are afraid, oh, it's going to take our jobs. I'm like, no, it's getting rid of the bullshit that you've been that we should not have been doing for the last 50 years. It's actually propelling you to stand in your gifts and use what you brought into this world instead of all of the busy that's keeping. I do feel like that argument is just what I feel like. There is I don't want to use the word fear, but I think a concern, and it goes to what you just said, is that people are losing themselves in the process of AI. They're handing their power over. They're overly reliant on it. They're not having critical thinking and using tools because, yes, it can spit out a human design report. Yes, but it doesn't do human design the way I can do human design in the presence of being with you in the moment. So can we talk a little bit about what you're seeing, the opportunity, and where there's risk that people are kind of getting sucked into a hole that may not be the right hole for them?
Yeah, and I mean, so basically you're saying like people are like putting too much trust into AI alone, but do you feel like there is a fear there? I just want to make sure I
I
understand
feel
how
like
you're
there's
saying that.
twofold. I feel like there's not a concern where there should be a concern. I think people are like the people that buy into it. So there's the concern of AI is going to take my job and I'm not going to be able to coach or I'm not going to be able to do the thing. That fear is kind of like there's that side of it. Then
Yeah.
there's people that are so bought into AI that they literally are putting all their eggs in one basket and they are becoming so overly reliant. Like I said, I just had somebody who I was very shocked that their entire email was verbatim from,
Yeah.
there was no, I know this because I've been following this person. I'm like, your voice is not in here. And
Yeah.
it was a very generic chat response, very easy to
Yeah.
tell. And then there's other people that I think are on that kind of slippery slope where maybe they're not aware of what's the right strategy on how you approach AI versus, again, putting all those eggs in one basket. I think people are like, it's one extreme or the other is what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, we're all just trying to figure it out, aren't we?
Yeah, for sure, right?
Yeah, so I mean, this is like it's new territory for everyone, and it's like it's so different than anything we've experienced before in our lifetimes. Um, and I will say, like, we've had to keep an eye on this, like, when do we infuse our own, like, our personality and our thoughts and all of that, and it's a process. It's kind of like an experiment and a testing to see like what feels right and what is also going to like work within the way that you show up in the world and in your business. And it might be different for different people. We had, some clients that like in the earlier days were becoming very overly reliant on it and they were like copy pasting and then they're like doesn't feel good, but I'm going to try it anyway. And then, of course, it wasn't working. We're like, yeah, no, like it's like, again, it's meant to be part of the process, not the end product, right? And so, yeah, I think it'll be interesting as things evolve over the upcoming years. But I do see the way I see it is like a lot of people are using AI to like try to clone themselves. But the more powerful aspect of AI is to tap into its intelligence, right, in order to amplify what you're capable of, your voice, your creativity. That's where I really think the true power is. And like an example I can give you is, when Lauren and I started our business, we were not copywriters. We did not enjoy copywriting. It was like, like nails on a chalkboard to me. And through working with AI, we developed systems around it and we learned it taught us a lot about copywriting. And then the more we engaged, the quicker we got better and better and better and better at it. And now we're like decent copywriters and we don't dread it anymore. And so I watched Abundance 360. They had their like summit recently, and I was watching one of the replays of this Google exec who was talking about the future of where it's headed. And it really stuck with me. What he said was that like it's opening up a world of creativity to people where they didn't previously have access. And so I see these two sides of it. Like, yes, it saves us a ton of time for certain things, but then it's also opening up these doors, right? Because it saves us this time. And like now we can have these doors of creative expression. So there are tools, for example, even like, Photoshop tools now with like AI features that are like so cool. Like anybody can learn how to do it, or anybody can learn how to make a video, like a really cool video very quickly with AI. And so we're going to see more and more of that appear. And that's kind of like part of what I see that transition and evolution as like some jobs kind of like, gently dissolve some industries, but there's going to be this opening for something else to fill its place. And I see it all as being a step forward in progress for us because, like you said, a lot of the things we've been doing for a really long time are like these time-consuming tasks that we don't really want to be doing. So, how can we leverage these tools to handle the things that don't feed us and fuel our souls? And how can we use them to move the areas of alignment for us forward in a really powerful way?
Yeah, I love that. And I agree with that, right? Because I think there's a lot of people that are, again, there's a lot of fear in general, with just the burning down and the collapsing of the old paradigm and the old structures. And AI is a big piece of that. I mean, AI came into the scene at the time it did. Everything kind of started to unfold during the start of the pandemic, and things have naturally align themselves, to keep using that word, to the collapse that's happening so that we can create this expansion of new opportunities. I'm curious from your perspective, even inside of what you just said, what are you most excited about, or what gets you like kind of fired up when you anticipate next levels of AI and what that can provide as we're shifting into this new paradigm, and as even the way we go to business, how we sell, how we market, how we lead, all of that is being shifted right now.
Yeah.
What for you is the most exciting piece of that, or do you anticipate?
I am very excited to talk about this. And it's like kind of going to be a shameless plug, but hear me out because
Do
it's
it.
really good. So, like as Candy said earlier, like we've developed all of these AI tools. They kind of like pinpoint different areas of business, like niche, client clarity, market research, like offer creation. But the most recent one that we finished is, in my mind, by far the most powerful one, and that is our sales playbook and our sales coach GPT. And it's also the one that I have the most experience in. So I've taken over 2,000 sales calls. I worked for several eight-figure online business coaches as a sales rep for years. Did very, very well, learned a lot inside of those successful businesses and by having 2,000 conversations with entrepreneurs. And so I've like distilled down everything that I took from that experience and how I had to actually we find my own path because within that, container, I was also being trained by sales experts who I didn't feel aligned with. And when I showed up in line in sales calls, like magic happens. I use my intuition. I have a structure, of course, but like I make these beautiful connections. I feel energized instead of drained after them. And so I've distilled everything that I've learned, and we've created this sales playbook that is like all about understanding how to have authentic, aligned conversations that are based on empathy
Mhm.
and that help you lead the sales conversation with confidence. Because so often, I mean, we have a lot of limiting beliefs around sales. They're ingrained in us for multiple reasons. But we like a lot of times, entrepreneurs, they, lose confidence when they say the price. They lose confidence when they handle objections, and they don't necessarily have sales training to teach them like what to say or how to say it. So we built a tool called the Sales Coach GPT that is, I am so proud of it. I'm visiting my family right now, and I was like, I did something on it this morning, and I was so proud. I ran downstairs and showed my mom, and I was like, Mom, look how amazing this is. Um, but so what it does is, I mean, it is your 24/7 sales coach there to guide you everything in sales. It can review your call transcripts to help you understand where there were missed opportunities, where there were unspoken objections that were maybe hidden that you didn't catch,
Mm.
where your own limiting beliefs crept up in the conversation. And it'll tell you exactly what to do next time. So it'll help you recognize the patterns in your sales conversations and show you exactly how to correct them because the same patterns are showing up over and over again. And that's what's keeping you where you are in your like revenue journey for your business. And so if we can recognize those, work on them, those few patterns that keep showing up, there's going to be a massive difference. And we've been preaching this a lot, but it's the fastest way to more revenue and the easiest way to more revenue is to close more of the calls you're already having.
Yes. Those warm, right? Like a warm call is always a better call than a cold call.
Yeah.
Always. I mean, it takes a lot of energy to get the first call when you've got
It-
that call. What I love about that too, though, is because we do, I mean, we've all grown up, if you've grown up in any kind of sales training, you did the auditing, you had somebody, you don't sell the same way when someone else is a third party listening. But when you have a tool like right now, Fathom's running in the background as we're doing this as well, and we get full transcripts, and I always share those because there's always pieces and nuggets and whatever, you forget that that's in the background listening,
yeah.
that you get to like, it really is pulling apart you in your flow to say, here's a pattern, here's a thing, because whenever we know someone's watching us, we perform. And so it takes the performative nature out of it and gets in. It's one of the things I found in some other of the tools that you have that I'm like, ooh, that just called me out. Ooh, that just called me out.
Yeah. And it's
Shit.
interesting because we interact differently with AI than we do with humans. Like we're more trusting of
Yeah.
it in a sense, and we
Which is
are
kind of
open.
weird.
It is weird, I know. But what's so fascinating because so like I just said, like after you review the sales call, then it'll help you with a follow-up strategy. And so it takes the pieces of the conversation, any missed opportunities that you had, it addresses it in a follow-up email or whatever it suggests, DM, voice note, whatever. But and it also it like has this strategy to ask for the sale where like you normally like might not have like stood for that person and like pushed a little bit more because it's what they really need and what they really want.
Right.
So it's just this level of expertise and skill, and then you learn from that. So just like I told you with the copywriting, I like was getting better and better at it. Now we have this tool where it's like you can amplify your sales success so quickly because we can pinpoint the areas where you're struggling and where there might be weaknesses that we can work on to really make a difference, and in how you lead, how you show up confidently, how you communicate the value of your offer. It's so freaking cool. And then I'm just want to make sure if I can share one more thing about this because I just discovered it this morning, so it's really fresh. We had this workshop yesterday, and someone in the workshop, we were demoing this tool, and someone said, "Can you use it for webinars?" And so this was one of the things I did early this morning when I woke up, and I was like, "That was a good question. Let me take the chat transcript from the webinar, put it in the tool,
Yep.
and I'm going to have it tell me like who of these people, like based on all of their comments, because we were really engaged the whole time asking questions. So there was like a ton of data in the chat. And like who's a hot lead, who's engaged, who do I need to follow up with, who maybe had hesitations, how can I nurture them? And it gave me this whole report of all of the names. Here's exactly what they said at this timestamp, and here's how you should follow up. And then so this morning I took, like 30 minutes to like write these follow-up emails, which it also helped with. But of course, I showed up. I had the like I included my own thoughts or my own like past experiences with them. Like, oh, they just bought something from me. Like, I would give them a discount for this offer. I really want to help her. Like, I know she could use this based on a past conversation we had. So it's this like partnership in this team,
Yep.
right, to help me amplify and get this done in a way where it like it fuels me. Like I'm excited to do it.
That's
So
so freaking cool. And by the way, y'all see why I say they're freaking magical? I am not kidding when these tools, and I actually have your replay because I could not be on the call live yesterday in my inbox ready to
you
watch.
gotta watch it,
I am ready
Candy.
to
It's
dive
a
in. And that is part of my calendar tomorrow is to be in that because I've been jonesing for this. You have been talking about this, and it is such a cool tool. And so I want you to realize that there is like incredible power in AI when you are using it as an asset in your business. You are not using it to be the driver. You are using it to help you refine and help you get smarter about how you're showing up to serve your community and your ideal clients. And when you bring that together in that way, it literally significantly shifts your business. It can 10x your business like that. And that was some of my experience. I'm like, this is crazy how it's changing my conversations. I will also say that for someone who has an open ego that sometimes like how I value things or how I price things, it has allowed me to stand in greater confidence when I'll ask chat sometimes, how would you approach this based on this? And it comes back and it gives me initial pricing and I go, actually, yeah, that's exactly where I should be playing versus if I had to do that first, I would have undercut myself still to be like, well, and when I see chat I'm like, based on me, based on what you know, how should this be laid out? How would you recommend it? And it gives me that sort of operating partner or that strategy partner that says, this is who you are. And then it will say, based on your 30 plus years as a leadership expert, based on almost a decade of human design, deep stuff, based on, I'm like, I didn't need all the qualifiers, but I'm glad you added those. And you see it, and it enhances how you get to show up. And
yeah.
so that being said, I know some of y'all listening right now are jonesing to get your hands on some of these tools and resources. So Lauren, can you share the best ways, and we're going to drop all of this in the show notes, but what are the best ways for people to connect with you and to learn more about these ridiculously fucking awesome tools you have?
Thank you, Candy. So our website is thelaurens.ai. We also have a monthly community, a meetup where we teach on a different topic once a month. It's the first Wednesday of the month. It's called the AI Clarity Community. So we'll put the link for that down below. You can find us, thelaurens.ai at Instagram. I'm also Lauren Shaw on LinkedIn. But yeah, we have a lot of really fun things coming up. So just get on our list by joining the community and you'll get notifications about all of them. Also, when you join the community, you get instant access to our community portal where there's quite a few free resources and some of our free tools that you can test out and give it a try. We should also put so I know you just said about the pricing thing that you did. Well, we have a GPT, which you're going to see tomorrow when you watch the workshop because we demo it and we actually share it for free. And the GPT is called our premium pricing GPT, and it like shows you the value, the hidden value that you might not see in your own offer. And it really helps you build confidence around the price in your offer, which is one of the things that we teach about becoming confident saying your price in your sales conversations. So we'll put the link for that below as well. It takes you 2 minutes, and I'm telling you, like it actually went viral when we started sharing it because everyone was getting like such great results with it. So definitely give that a try.
Yeah, and I will tell you, as someone who is part of the AI Clarity community, I don't always get to be there live. The magic that's in there is it like, I'm not kidding. When she says they have free resources, these are not just like, hey, here's your little freebie checklist. Hey, sure. These are like
A game changer.
real robust, freaking awesome. Like I cannot keep plugging this enough. Like I really do believe the work that the Lawrence is doing, especially because they're approaching it from such an empathetic, compassionate way to connect, is really going to significantly create this blue ocean space of something that is a differentiator for AI. And so I personally am super grateful that I've been invited in to test some of these things and to use the tools. And I've had access to some of these for God, almost a year now, I think. And it's legitimately, I mean, I have so many playbooks that at some point I also had to watch my open head and ajna, and I'm like, ooh, too much information, and I need to do something with all
That's
this.
why we've whittled down ourselves
Right,
because
right, right,
yeah.
right. Because you have an open head notch, and it's that, oh, there's
Yeah.
so much. And like, how do we distill it down so that we can take real, intentional, sustainable action that's inspired and aligned to our voice, our leadership, our magic, So that being said, Lauren, first of all, I'm so grateful that you're here and sharing this, and I'd love to have you come back. As we close this, is there one thing you'd like to leave based on what we talked about today?
I would just say have fun with AI. Like it can be a really fun tool if you let it be. And especially if you're, kind of newer and getting into AI, we always, we share this on podcasts a lot, but don't go right into having it like help you in your business. Like do something fun and creative with it. Like if, for example, you live in Florida and it's April and you want to plant a garden, tell it that. Tell it, I live in Florida, it's April, I want to plant a garden. Like, what type of plants should I plant? Just use it for something that's fun and creative and experiment and test the boundaries of what's possible. It's not going to get mad at you. It's definitely not going to talk back. If anything, it's going to be very, very supportive and encouraging. So, yeah, so just have fun with it.
Yeah, I love that. And I will say, I mean, I've had to do everything from meal plan to me to come up with a creative way to cook to like, how would I put this outfit together to now there's a whole new viral thing of people are creating kind of a Barbie doll of themselves. Like
Yeah.
literally there's so many things, but to Lauren's point, I think that's really important that you don't try to go into the deep end. Let yourself wait around and play in the kiddie pool for a while, put your little floaties on, let yourself splash around, feel it out, try it on. And then as you get more and more confident, you will intuitively. And again, if you really trust your intuition and what guides you, you will know how to feed it and refine it and give it the right things. And I mean, I've been using AI now over a year that I'm finally getting it to the point where based on playing with it and whatever, that now it comes back. And I'm very clear when it doesn't come back in my voice. I'm like, that is not what I just asked you for. Redo that. And I need you to go back to you remember my voice is this. Like, oh, got you. Sorry.
Yeah.
You'll come
Well,
back.
that's the other thing I'll just say. I'll leave end it on this note, but I do highly encourage like anybody who is serious about learning how to leverage these tools, I encourage you to find a guide, right? Find someone who you resonate with
Mhm.
that can help you in this journey because it is like a vast space and there's a lot to learn, and it's really important to have a strategy so you're not just like throwing spaghetti at the wall with AI. So find the right support in the area that you need it.
Yeah, which is again the hard plug I'm going to give for why you need to go check out their tools and resources and community because
Yes, we're always happy to help.
I have played in other spaces as well, especially since I wanted to see what was. I keep coming back. Their stuff is without a doubt the best that's out there, in my opinion. And I'm just going to say that to all of you listening.
Thank
So,
you.
with that, Lauren, thank you for being on the show. You know, I adore you. Like I said, I love the work that you and Lauren are doing. This is so revolutionary when we talk about leadership revolutions. And for all of you that are tuning in, if this is your first time, thank you so much. Please make sure you subscribe, leave a review for those of you that tune in all the time. Thank you for coming back and stay tuned as we will have more of these engaging conversations that allow you to create a better and more aligned as fuck life. So with that, I'm Candy Barone. I'll catch y'all next time. Bye.
Ciao.